So another thing that we need to fix here is that we need to say here user underscore email, not just email. Why? The reason is because in the database, remember in the users table, the column for the email is user underscore email. And here we are using SQL to connect to the database, and I'm here I'm here saying where user email is equal to something. So we need to use this column, user underscore email. And also here, another thing that I wanted to fix here is the get error. This get error, if the error, if the get request is not set, this is gonna display a an error. This is gonna display an error instead of displaying the error message itself. So we need to say here, we need to add if statement, and we need to say if is set, only is set, get is set get error. If the error is set error, then I'm gonna here say echo and then echo this code. That's it. So this code will never be executed unless there is an error message. This is very, very important. Finally, we need to continue working here after we say here statement bind param. We need to execute this. I'm going to say stmt and then execute this, and we need to bind the we need to store the information in the session, and I'm going to work on this later. But for now, what we want to do is that we need to fix the code a little because the code now is getting complicated. So here I'm going to say, in order to fix this code, I'm going to say here if password don't match, then we are going to display an error. Here, instead of saying another if statement, I'm going to say else if the password is less than 6 characters, then I'm going to display another error. Here I'm going to say else if there are no errors, if there are no errors, then I'm going to here say else, and then I'm going to push all of this code inside. All of this code will go inside this else. Here I'm going to close this else. And here inside this else, here I'm going to add a comment. I'm going to say if there is no error, then we need to display this. Let me add the closing bracket here and also the closing bracket here and remove it from here because this is gonna make the code more organized. So else if there is no error, then we need to check whether there is a user with this email or not. Here, if statement is gonna check if there is a user with already registered with this email, then we cannot continue. We need to send the user to we need to display an error message. Else I'm gonna add this code now. All of this code now will go inside here, and then I'm gonna add a curly bracket. And you need to double check your code because there are so many curly braces. If you get this wrong, it's not gonna work. So I want you to double check your code one more time. So let me here show you the code one more time. If user clicks on register, we get the data from the form and then check whether the email is whether the password and the password confirm match. If they don't match, we display an error. If there is another error, if the password is less than 6 characters, we also display an error. Else, if there are no errors, by the way, these are the errors that I have used. You can add more else ifs here if you want to check for more errors. But I think these are the most important two errors that I want the user to avoid: the password don't match and the password less than 6 characters. Else, if there are no errors, I'm gonna first check whether there is an email, whether there is a user with this email or not. If there is a user with this email, then we need to take the user to the, we need to display an error message. If there is a, if there is no user with this email, if no user, let me add here a comment. If no user registered with this email before, then we can create a new account with this email and password. And finally here, we need to say statement execute, and then we need to check this by saying if this is correct, if the account has been created successfully, what we want to do is that we need to get the data and display the data. We need to store the user information in the session, because at this point the account has been created successfully. So I'm gonna say here user email is equal to the user email. So here I'm gonna say user email is equal to the user email is equal to the email that the user registered with. And this session, I'm gonna create another session with user username is equal to username or name. And we can also create a session logged in is equal to true. And that's it. And then we take the user to the account page. I'm going to say header, and then location, and then account, and then .php. And I'm going to say here register, and then is equal to you registered successfully. That's it. Else, if here if account was created successfully, else account could not be created for some reason. So we need to display an error here. Again, we need to use the header, and then register, and then location, and then register, and then .php, and then error is equal to could not create an account at the moment. And that's it. Else here you can display any error. You can here say, for example, header, and then location, register .php, and then error, and then you can say here please fill in the form. The error is possibly at this point is that the post is not set. So that's it. And the last thing that we need to do is that we need to create the account.php page. So if you go to the account.php, you will find that we have a page called account.html, and we need to convert this to PHP. We need to say account.php. That's it. For now, I'm going to convert it to account.php, and then later I'm going to display the information there. And finally here, actually, if I use the header in the else, it's not going to allow me to enter the page anyways, because the is set here, whenever I enter the page, it's always going to be not set. The post is not going to be set. So here, actually, I shouldn't have this code at all. I should remove this completely. I should remove this code, and I shouldn't add this code for now. Let me save, and we can add another code that's going to check whether the user is logged in or not, in order to avoid the user to go to the register if they are logged in. But there is no need for this now. Here we need to say session start. This is the last thing that we need. And the last thing that I'm going to do is that here we need to say statement and then store result. This is very important. You need to call store result. Otherwise, it's not going to work. This is not going to work. And by the way, here, after this if statement, we need to check whether the user is logged in or not. But I'm going to work on this later because I don't want to confuse you right now. So let me now head on over to the browser and test. So first we need to go to the register page because as you can see there is no link for the register. So I'm going to say register.php, and then let me create an account. So let me here create an account, and I'm going to type everything correctly, and let me here create an account. So if I click on register, and if everything is fine, as you can see, it's going to take me to the account page. And now in the database, I should find my account. So my account has been created. Now let me go to the register page and try to test for other possible scenarios. Now if I go to the register page, the first problem that I have is that I will be able to go to the register page even though I already have created an account. So this is a problem that I'm going to work on shortly, but first let's test the problems. So the first problem is that if you click on register without filling the form, it's not going to allow you, which is great. And if you try to create an account with the same email, for example, if I try to create an account with this email, let me test. It's not going to allow you. Let me show you this. So if I click on register, it's going to say here user with this email already exists. So this is going to protect the form from creating two accounts with the same email. If you test with the, let's say that the user did not type let's say the emails, the passwords don't match. So if I type here a password, and in the second field I'm going to type another password that don't match. If I click on register, it's going to say here password don't match. So you can test this, and I'd recommend testing this multiple times in order to avoid any problems with your form. The last problem is that we need to fix is the registration. So here in the form we need to say else if, and then we need to check the session. We need to say session is set session logged in. Remember, we have here a key called logged in. So if user is logged in, then what we need to do is that we need to say header dot location, and then index or account account.php, and we need to take the user to the account.php because at this point the user has already registered, and we need to exit. So let me test this. So now I'm logged in, I'm registered. So if I try to go to the registration page, I shouldn't be able to enter the, as you can see, I will not be able to enter the registration page. Let me here say register one more time, register.php, and if I try to go to the register, it's not going to allow me because this is going to protect the registration page. I'm gonna say here, if user has already registered, then take user to account page. And also in the registration page, we have a link here. We have a link for login, so we need to activate this link. I'm going to say here href, and this is going to take the user to the login.php, which is the page that I'm going to work on. So now our registration system is complete.